All right, welcome to yet even more stories from the Secret City. Today is September the 22nd, 2025. And we're happy to have some guests with us this morning that I'll introduce in a moment. But I want you to remember any ideas you have for our next class, and we'll do this again. Please let me know. You can tell me here or send me an email or text me in any way you want to. And when we finish this session, I will put it up on YouTube and send a link to it. All right, our guests today, we have Alan Lowe and Matt Mullins from the American Museum of Science and Energy. Alan's our executive director and Matt's our marketing manager. And there are lots of really good things happening in Oak Ridge. Part of that has to do with nuclear renaissance that's going on, obviously. And if you're paying any attention at all, you'll see lots of things that are being announced. The governor's coming to visit us quite often. And also the museum that's been here since 1947, 49. Excuse me, Matt. Has continued to keep pace with the nuclear renaissance that's coming our way lately, and I want you to know what's been going on there and what's planned for the near future. So, Alan, if you want to share your screen or however you and Matt have decided to do this, will
You
be
got it.
fine. So just take over. And by the way, folks, please ask questions. That will make it easier on Matt and on Alan, but you'll enjoy it more too if you get them to answer your questions. Okay?
All right. Well, thank you, Ray. Thank you, everyone. Always great to be with you all. We do have a lot going on at AMSI and the Atomic History Campus at K25. Before I get started with my slides, I want to say that, I was reminded recently I was at the ASTC conference, our annual conference, the Association of Science and Technology Centers, and we get together once a year. And AMSI, if you buy a membership here, you get ASTC membership. So I thought you get free admission to those other ASTC science centers and museums around the country. So I thought I better learn more about it. So I've been going the last few years, and they are amazing places. The Children's Museum here in Oak Ridge is one. Let's see, the Adventure Science Center in Nashville, the museum, the Memphis Museum of Science and History, the Muse down in Knoxville, member of ASTC. So I just want to put in a plug for them. It's an amazing organization and doing a lot of good work. And they have other entities in the ASTC, like the National Museum of Nuclear Science and History, that we are teaming up with in a lot of ways, including as we talk more and more about nuclear. So shameless plug for ASTC as we start, but I think a really good organization. Let me go down here. Let's try to go down to the next slide. There you go. Here in Oak Ridge, one of the biggest things to happen in a long time for us was the dedication on August 23rd of the William J. Wilcox Jr. K-25 Interpretive Center. If you've been to the campus out there, this is right next to where the K-25 Atomic History Center is, and it continues that story of interpreting the site. You see there on the right-hand side of the slide, the upstairs exhibit has a great model of the K-25 building, and then you look out through those windows on the footprint of where the building used to be. I've told everyone I didn't really truly understand the immense size of K25 until I looked out those windows and saw that footprint. So it's very, very striking. It's going to be even better as we go into the future with flagpoles and wayfinding signs from the Park Service and so forth out there. But even now, it's very impressive to see. What you don't see in this photo, you see the whole building on the left side of the slide. What you don't see is in that bottom part of the building is an open floor where we have already had so many events and rentals and so forth. It's a great space for classes, for conferences. We had an Oracle class out there last couple of weeks. So it's been a real resource for us already, and I think a great resource for the community. William J. Wilcox Jr. was, his name is on it. It was one of his dreams to have this building. Former historian of Oak Ridge, great history. Ray and Gordon Fee tell that story so much better than I can. But Ray and Gordon had a lot to do also with making sure that this building happened. And we're very, very grateful that now it's part of our operations. And please come out and see the William J. Wilcox Jr. K-25 Interpretive Center. Also on that campus, a lot going on out there. Croat is nearing the completion of the renovation of Portal number 4, which is where folks who work there were going through starting in the early 50s. This portal was consolidated into this portal, that entry point, and it's really doesn't look great in this photo. It's all the ravages of time, but it looks terrific right now. Croat's doing a great job renovating it into what will kind of be the entry point for the site, a welcome center. There'll be a small exhibit, a small area for buying a coffee, food truck space, space to sit down and drink your coffee, and a small shop also where we'll be able to buy t-shirts and coffee mugs, that type of thing. Just a good gathering place. We'll also have on the outside there a display of the 1945 Jeep that Croat has also donated to us. So it's a very cool display there of that Jeep. And around this, there'll be more property as well for events, that type of thing that thank Croat, a community reuse organization of East Tennessee. You may know they're sunsetting their operations. They've been operating since the 90s of working with DOE and utilizing the previous DOE property and kind of being the conduit for companies moving in there in the Horizon Center and elsewhere, investing a lot in this community. Well, as they get ready to put up the out of business sign for Croat, one of the last things is to renovate this building and to leave this as part of their legacy, frankly, and of course K-25 legacy for the future. So we're very, very grateful to them. This is going to be just another great part of that campus, but also right across in Richmond Street from that, there's an empty property right now where Croat is working with the Southern Appalachian Railroad Museum and with us to see how we might display some of the train cars they have. Railroads, they have like engines, they have cabooses, they have dining cars, they have all kinds of really cool and historic cars that we're seeing now, how many can be displayed and how we help interpret those down the road. So I think that's still on track, pun intended. That's still in the planning phases though, and we'll see that probably would be next year. We're hoping to move in the renovated Portal 4 by the end of this year and have a dedication for it in spring. I think these trains will be a bit later than that, these train cars, but I think that will happen at some point. So kind of a cool thing of
Alan?
how railroads are such an important part of the Manhattan Project and beyond. Yes, sir.
Yeah, let me interrupt you. I was by Portal 4 a couple of days ago, and you're
Mhm.
right, they're coming right along.
Yes, they
I,
are.
I took the opportunity to make a picture of the turnstile that's
Oh,
still
good.
there. Tell me, you do plan to let people enter through a turnstile?
Right now, I don't believe it's going to be an operational turnstile. I think we're preserving it to show this is from the original building, but I fear that might over time damage the turnstile. Here I'm being the archivist, I'm afraid. But
It's
we can
hard to
maybe
damage a
once a year
turnstile,
you can enter
Alan.
the turnstile. So, I'll
I
check
went
with
through
Lawrence. I'll
one.
see. I don't.
I went through one for 47 years. It didn't change a bit. It worked just
All
fine
right.
when I left.
Well, I'm more than glad to reconsider it. I am. I am. I sometimes am
I'm
too
just
much of
glad.
a
I'm just glad to
preservation
see
guy.
that it's left there. And
Yes, Lawrence made sure of that. He made
yeah,
sure as they were doing it that we preserved the turnstile, and he found some other things there, kind of underneath, boards and everything that seemed to be a bit older than some of the other stuff. So he made sure those were retained, and we'll
good.
make note of all those. So yeah, I'm just glad that it's there. And a long time ago, we went and said, "Hey, we're interested in this portal," and we didn't know it would ever come to this. We frankly didn't know that Croat would be so generous as to not only give it to us, but renovate it on their dime and provide that and the surrounding property. So we're
Yeah,
very, very
that's excellent. I think it's a wonderful partnership and good cooperation. There's another question I have. There
yeah.
was a little uh, wheat station, just a little square, kind of like a ticket booth, that used to be used when we were doing the dinner train out there,
Yep.
the excursion train. I understand that's been moved, and I can't find it. I haven't looked real hard. Do you know what it is?
I don't know where it's moved. I told them it was okay. SARM talked to me and Croyd about this, and I said it could be moved closer up to Portal 4.
Yeah.
And frankly, I don't know. I need to go back out and look because I didn't realize you couldn't find it. So I'll look and see. They were trying to get it further away from the main road
Yeah. And it
and
may
closer to
just be
Portal
that
4.
I didn't look where it's always been. It may have not have moved yet.
Okay,
But
yeah,
you
they were going
know,
to
we
move it
used
up
we
there.
used to have that excursion train, and I would love to see that start back again. And there may be some opportunities. So if it starts again, you'll want it to start from Portal 4.
Yes. And we did talk to SARM at one point about moving it,
Okay.
in part for security, frankly, to get a little
Yeah.
further away from the main road, but also with that dream in the future. We had talked then to Crowet because technically it's still their site and said, hey, can you coordinate with them and talk about it? And I think Lawrence has been having those discussions. So it may have been moved or it may be in the process of being planned because I know they didn't want to do it too early to get in the way of what was going on
Yeah.
around the port, right? So I think that it might still be a work in progress, Ray.
Okay.
All righty. At AMSI, it's kind of, we're looking at the future of AMSI. I guess that's one general way of saying it. We know that where we are is not our forever home. And where, in the next 10 years or so, where would we land? How would that museum function? How would it look? What partners would we have? What does a museum of the future look like? What technologies would you use? What topics would you cover? How would you be flexible in that design? What kind of programming would you have? All these fun topics we're thinking about. How would it coordinate with the comprehensive plan of Oak Ridge that's being developed? How would it coordinate with the Wilson Street development? All these things are kind of up in the air right now, but we are actively discussing them with the city, with other partners, certainly with our board of directors, Ray Smith is a member of. I'm going to leave that at that right now, that hopefully over the next year or so, you will hear more about uh, as these plans kind of solidify where we go. We know that for the long-term um, health of the organization, we need a place where we can upgrade exhibits and have more programming and where we're not sitting on top of each other, staff members, and our staff has grown. We're 20, 21 people now. We need to be able to have the right type of facilities to serve the public and to make sure we're a long-term sustainable organization. So keep your eyes on our website, on our Facebook, and the news, and we'll hopefully over the next few months have a bit more certainty on how that's going to develop. Education is a huge part of what we do. We serve so many students here here, schools in the region, even more virtually. It's amazing what we've learned how to do through the pandemic, how we do virtual education now. A big focus over the last year has been homeschool. And it's been an amazing reaction from homeschoolers. So that you talk about new stuff at AMSI. This isn't exactly new, but it's kind of new in that we kind of put a focus on it before. But when we really started saying, hey, there's a big homeschool community, we have all these amazing resources and classes you can come take. We get sold out pretty much every time now we offer these. So there you see some of the topics we offer and really, really great response to the homeschool learning expeditions. We continue, of course, our programming. And I know if you've been in this class before, when I've talked about this, these are the same things. Our AMSI Cast, our podcast, the AMSI Science Report. We do the STEM of History. We host the DOE Public Facilities Bus Tour for Department of Energy and work very closely with them on that. All still going strong. AMSI Cast, we continually add new programming. Same with the Science Report. And even the STEM of History, we've added a couple of new interviews there recently. So definitely go on amse.org and you can find information about all these programs and podcasts. This to give you a taste on AMSIcast, just over the past couple of months, we've had programs with Jack Kelly. We talked about the history of gunpowder. We talked to Jay Feldman about the immense earthquakes of 1811 and 1812 that made the Mississippi River look like it was running backwards. They were so immense they formed Reelfoot Lake. We talked to Robin Andrews about how we are countering threats of asteroids to Earth. And Bob Hedich out at the lab talked to him about the microbiome. So see the really eclectic set of topics we cover and have a bunch coming up. Roma Agrawal, whose name I have trouble saying, but she's going to talk to us in a couple of weeks. She's an amazing engineer in London, England, who's going to talk to us about the work she's done. So it's just one after the other. We have a couple, at least one signed up for Nuclear Science Week as well that Matt will tell you about, so I won't steal his thunder. But these programs, always look on amsc.org. There's always something new that we're doing. We just had a family game night this past Friday. Those are fun where families come in, or if you just want to come in and play a fun STEM related game, we have a blast. There's one with a hot potato that gives you a mild shock when you toss it around. That seems to be the favorite of kids. I try to stay away from that one. All right, now I'm going to skip over the next one because that's all Matt Mullins, but let me finish up here. You may have seen, I've been working with Ray, Gordon Fee, and others about obtaining from the Navy the sail, which is this part here. I don't know if you can see my cursor, but it's that what I would call the conning tower, but it's not called the conning tower of the USS Houston nuclear submarine. That's been decommissioned by the Navy, and they have now offered that to us. We hope to have that in place in Bissell Park sometime late next year. It's available starting in March. We just have to do a little fundraising to get it transported here from Bremerton, Washington, and set up in the park. But we have a great set of partners here, Y12, and other places that are going to help us make that a reality. Because, as you know, Oak Ridge is the birthplace of the nuclear Navy, and we're proud to help tell that story at AMSI, K-25, and now through this USS Houston. USS Houston has some history of its own. My favorite movie on the planet is The Hunt for Red October, a great movie, and this was one of the submarines that was featured in that movie. So we're excited about that. Hopefully, by the end of next year, you'll see it in place at Bissell Park. Special exhibits, always changing too. So we talk about new stuff at AMSI and K-25. These are always changing out. We have an Enriching Uranium Empowering America exhibit at the K-25 Atomic History Center. That, frankly, exhibit is still being developed. So we put it in with some great stuff, but we have a great interactive getting ready to be put in there soon. But it's great as it is, but even sooner, it's going to be even better. The ICFPN Scientist, President's Science and Engineering at AMSI has been going on a while now. It will be until through almost the end of this year, but it's all about the intersection of presidents and the making of science and their interest in science from George Washington on up. So that's been a lot of fun, kind of bringing my two old worlds together. In the works, talking to Ray and others about an exhibit at the Wilcox Interpretive Center on Oak Ridge and the Nuclear Navy. Have some good ideas on that. We got a large grant last year, all about solar energy. We'll be putting in an exhibit at AMSI about that, and it's also supported a whole range of educational programs. We're planning a new exhibit for the Innovators Gallery, where the Presence in Science exhibit is now at the beginning of next year to help celebrate America's 250th birthday. We're going to talk about 250 years of American leadership and information. So things like telephones and televisions and typewriters and computers and all those things. It's really brought out the geek in me even more. I'm very excited about that exhibit. And then we're working, of course, on the portal. Portal 4 will have that small exhibit in it, and we're working on that now. It will talk a little bit about the site, the history of the site, the businesses on the site, history of Croat, and about railroads because of the railroad exhibit next door. So all that's coming into place. We keep Quinn Argall, our curator, pretty busy. And then another thing I was just going to mention, Ray's been instrumental in this and getting support for the restarting of an oral history initiative here in Oak Ridge, which we agree is so very important. And hoping to, this week, Ray, to get on that and start moving forward because the Department of Energy has offered support to move that forward over the next several years and kind of taking up with an effort that had been begun. And there's a great oral history set of collections in the Oak Ridge Public Library now, but that have been stopped a few years ago. And now we have funding to restart that effort. And so important to get those oral histories recorded and then used. That's the other thing too. Talk about how we start incorporating those, make sure that people know they're there, but also incorporating them into educational programs and so forth. There's some of our contact information, which I'm sure Matt Mullins will show you as well, since he's our communications guy. But always go to amse.org. That website, Matt does a great job of keeping up to date. And if you're a Facebook person, go to our Facebook page. Matt keeps a lot of information on there, always upcoming events and so forth. And if you haven't already, sign up for our AMSI Foundation News. That's our monthly newsletter that gets a lot of praise from folks. Matt and the staff Matt puts that together. Staff all give input to it every month. So that's a good way of also knowing what's new at AMSI. So with that, Matt Mullins, I will turn it over to you, but thank you all so much. And Matt, one of our things we're proudest of here is that we were chosen to be the national host this year of Nuclear Science Week. It's a big deal for us. Certainly, I think it's a great thing for Oak Ridge and Tennessee. And Matt has kind of taken that and run with it and has put together an amazing set of activities there in October. So with that, thank you all very much.
Matt, before you start, let's ask if there are any questions for Alan. Alan, as you've been on here a number of times before, one of the hardest things I have to do is to get this class to ask questions. But let's give them an opportunity. Just unmute yourself if you would like to ask Alan a question before we move on to Nuclear Science Week.
I see a few familiar faces. I think some of them have heard me talking before, so they're probably like, man.
All right. Any questions? Okay, Alan, you've done a good job. We appreciate it. Matt,
thank you.
Take over.
Very good. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're all doing well this morning. Thank you for the time to speak to you all about Nuclear Science Week and what our activities are planned for that coming up. As Alan had stated, I want to make sure everybody can see the graphics behind me, the Nuclear Science Week logo and the QR code.
Yes, everything's fine.
Very good. Okay.
You're kind of covering up the date with your head, though.
No.
You are.
I'll attempt to adjust.
This technology is great, but it can really take hold if you let it.
That's very true. That's very true. So what we'll do is we'll walk through this, and this date and this information will be up during the duration of this presentation. As Alan had stated, we are the host city for Nuclear Science Week this year. Alan and I have been very fortunate to participate in the last 2 years of Nuclear Science Week, one in San Diego and then last year in Idaho National Laboratory. And both of those experiences have really informed what this Nuclear Science Week looks like. And ultimately, at the end of the day, this Nuclear Science Week presentation is for people like you in the ORICL class. This week of events is designed to engage our community, engage people who have had experiences in these facilities, and engage people who have lived and worked in and around this community. So as we go through this week, this is very intentional, this is very purposeful, and I do want input and feedback. And before we go any further, this presentation is my invitation to all of you to participate in Nuclear Science Week. If you get nothing else, this is my invitation to jump on board for this. Monday, October 20th, we're starting off with a really nice party. But before we get to that, I kind of want to go through a couple of the bits and pieces of this presentation, beginning ultimately with a bit of history through why Oak Ridge really gets to claim an exceptional place, celebrating 80 years of nuclear innovation inside of this community. Dating back from 1939 all the way to 45, I always impress upon people that in 1946, those first isotopes for cancer treatment and experimentation went out from Oak Ridge to a hospital in St. Louis, Missouri. When we talk about the atomic age, Oak Ridge is the epicenter for that. It is not beyond question to ask why we are the epicenter now of the nuclear renaissance. As we go through all of these dates, again, these are moments where Oak Ridge has accelerated and been first out of the gate. From 1939 until 2020, and still today, Oak Ridge is pretty phenomenal as far as firsts. What's unique about Nuclear Science Week is also the number of firsts that our partners are participating in for this week. As we talk to people within the community about the value of Nuclear Science Week, we can literally put a price tag on the value of these experiences. Starting off with a very, I don't want to say simple because both of my grandfathers were carpenters and they did phenomenal in both of their works. Ray could speak to H.D. Kofer for a little while, who was a supervisor at the facilities in Oak Ridge. But again, that salary, that impact begins at $70-something, $80,000 a year, going all the way to $130,000 within a first couple of years of employment within this industry in this area. If this is not an impactful series of numbers that would encourage the next generation of folks to move into this region, I don't know what is. So when we're talking to people and we're talking about numbers of people coming into the community, Wade Cresswell has a fantastic number that he starts to throw out sometimes, that in the next 10 years, there is a tentative estimation of nearly 12 to 15,000 workers coming in to build these facilities that are generating the nuclear renaissance. These are the Kairos and the Type 1, the LIS technology, and the Uranos. When we talk about all those individuals, those are just 15,000 construction workers over 10 years. Then we get into individuals that's represented on this graph. These are the skilled workers that are going to be coming into this area. This is a substantial impact to the region's economy. These are the numbers that we're talking about when we talk about upwards of nearly 6,000 potential skilled workers on top of those construction workers coming into the area. This is a dynamic change to our region. This is impactful. This map we're going to come back to another time a little bit later on, but each of these green dots are locations of innovative nuclear technologies that are coming into Oak Ridge. From east to west, on the east side, we have Type 1 and TVA and their operations. And as we head west, we go past Centrist, Orano, Triso, BWXT, and all the rest of these characters. But what I really want to draw your attention to is if you can see on the right-hand side of your screen, do you see all of those numbers that are up there? Those are the general investments of these companies. If we begin at the low end of $42 million and go up to 82, 90 plus, 100 million, 350 million, 300 million, nearly 2 billion and 5 billion with Orano. Again, these are impactful real numbers. So when we talk about Nuclear Science Week, this is the arithmetic we have to use to establish this conversation. Collectively in a community, if we are not engaged with these opportunities, we have nothing to do but miss the opportunity. So let's talk about the week. Now you'll notice that I did skip October 20th. This is the reception for folks who are coming together from out of town to celebrate Nuclear Science Week. We're hosting this at the K-25 Interpretive Center and at the History Center. And this is basically cocktail party for folks traveling in from out of town. We have a fantastic guest list, everybody from Constellation Energy to Space Force, MIT, Penn State, Type 1, Orano, all of those local characters, and lots of folks coming in from out of town. We've also got Global Laser Enrichment, which is a very small laser enrichment company out of North Carolina. I think that they have heard through the grapevine what LIS Technologies is doing in Oak Ridge, and they want a part of that action. So it's kind of interesting the groups of folks that are coming in. On Tuesday, this is where all of you need to be involved, and this is where the invitation begins. On the QR code at the bottom will allow you to get registered for these events so that you can participate in them, not just be witness to their activities, but be on the bus and in these experiences. So zap that QR code, it'll go to our website, and you can go through a registration process after we finish this call. On Tuesday, we are going through that map. That is the most expensive real estate in East Tennessee's history. We're getting on a 56-passenger luxury bus, and we're driving across that map. And at each one of those locations, somebody's going to get on and give a 10-minute talk about what on earth they're doing out there, what it means to turn that dirt, how many people they're hiring, what is the intention for the work, and how long this work is expected to last. When we start off this week at the Interpretive Center, understand we are looking at nearly 90 years of history from the implementation of the Manhattan Project all the way through current time. Those facilities that are on this tour that are at K25 are also generational facilities. Their intention is to be there for several generations, so we can look nearly another 100 years into the future from that site. This dirt tour is taking an opportunity to visit those sites. We have seats available. From 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock, if you don't know anything about Oak Ridge High School and their CTE program and their machining and manufacturing program with Dr. Mark Buckner and Dr. Holly Cross, let me tell you, this is an opportunity where you will suddenly not worry about the future of the students and youth in America. There are students in this class that are so on point. They are doing manufacturing for cutting-edge nuclear technologies as we speak. These students are contracting with Kairos Power to develop wiring harnesses in these iterative reactors. So students in Oak Ridge High School are building part and parcel with Kairos Power, which is phenomenal. This tour is open to the public. On that registration form, you can go in there and check that out. Jobs are the other element to this week, and we're going to have very purposeful conversations about the employment, because when you're looking at 15,000 construction workers and 6,000 skilled jobs coming into the area over the next 10 years, we need to begin actively planning for those workers to come into the workforce. Those workers are currently in middle school. When Alan talked about AMSI's presence in the schools, it's because we are creating an opportunity to talk about innovative educational patterns so that we can encourage students to go into these fields and understand to work in nuclear, you don't have to be a gigantic super degree brain person to work in nuclear. One of the gentlemen at Orano that I spoke to said that his next 40 hires are going to be high school graduates because he needs people on site in the next 3 weeks to start building things. He's got all the degreed people and all the engineers he can have. He needs functional workers. That's an impactful moment. Was there a question? All right, I will move on then. So that's our Tuesday apparatus. On Wednesday, we're all about education. From 8 o'clock in the morning till 7:30 p.m., we are hosting a STEM event where most of these corporate partners are going to be setting up STEM tables at the Oak Ridge Conference Center. We will have from 8 o'clock until 10 o'clock in the morning every seventh and eighth grader in Oak Ridge schools bust through the conference center. We currently have about 10 to 15 schools between Roane County, Knox County, Anderson County, and some of the outlying school systems that will be bussed in to this education, this STEM event on Wednesday, beginning at 10 o'clock until around 2 to 2:30. We have all 6 of the Oak Ridge National Lab trailers. And let me tell you, if you don't know that that's a challenge, I promise you that is a challenge to arrange. We have all 6 of those trailers. We have the TVA trailer. We have TCAT, the Tennessee College of Applied Technologies, as well as a trailer from the Chamber of Commerce's, which is a professional development trailer called Be Pro, Be Proud. All of those folks are setting up at the Oak Ridge Library parking lot. Inside the conference center, we will have all of these partners doing STEM events. That is a monumental feat in and of itself. During the day, the National Park will be hosting a walkthrough at 1 o'clock, also at the park, at Bissell Park. From 2 o'clock, 2:30 to 4:30, all Oak Ridge school teachers are coming to a presentation at Pollard Auditorium that's about nuclear education. If our teachers, which some of them are still worried about teaching nuclear curriculum, are worried, they won't teach it. So we have professionals coming in from Orano, Type 1 Energy, and the University of Tennessee, their medical isotope program, coming in to talk to educators. We also have some other individuals from the Tennessee STEM Initiative, Tennessee Department of Education, ORISE, and ORIU that are also coming in to give educators curriculum. This event is going until, it says 7 o'clock, but the STEM event is going until, 7:30, because we want the community to engage with this. We want, if I may be so bold, we want you to bring your grandchildren to this event. They need to have hands-on experiences with these partners. That removes the fear and hesitation and caution, because you're getting to interact and have educated discussions with these individuals. So again, zap that QR code and get registered for this. The Thursday event is maybe perfect for this group, though. This is our History Day. We're going to have a historic bus tour presented by Oak Ridge National Lab and Y12. They are building this tour currently. That'll be 90 minutes of a historic presentation on each one of those sites. From 1:30 to 5 o'clock, we will be at the Oak Ridge Playhouse, and this will be a series of historic presentations. We're going to have the early history of TVA presented. Why were they first? Why did they begin? If we didn't have TVA here, it's arguable to say that Manhattan Project would have never followed. So early TVA history, David Keim and Gene Patterson are going to do a year-by-year back and forth on early ORNL and Y12 history. We're going to have a history panel presented by Carla Mullins with the one and only Ray Smith, Mike Stallo, representation of Scarborough 84, 85 community, and Don Honeycutt, I believe. We're also going to have Space Force present on the history of nuclear propulsion in space. We've got a couple of other unique presentations that will go on during this day. And again, this is all free. Reggie has given us access to the Playhouse without any sort of fee for the day. This is our opportunity to talk about 80 years of atomic innovation with the community and with the other guests that we have coming from out of town. We'll do a quick presentation after that in Jackson Square with the National Park Service, and then we're going to wrap up our Thursday evening cutting a rug at the Oak Ridge tennis courts. This is something that the National Park has done for some time, and they've extended their tennis court dances 1 week so we can kind of go through this really nice historical presentation start to finish that day. Then as we get into Friday, we've got a glimpse into the future. You'll notice that each one of these 4 days are themed. On Tuesday, it's about the workers. On Wednesday, it's about education and the next generation. On Thursday, it's our history, our very important history. On Friday, we have gigantic arrows pointing into the future. We're beginning our day with a really unique conversation with our friends at eTech at the Pollard Auditorium. We'll then have our DOE Public Facility bus tour, but then our real event cap off Nuclear Science Week is this Friday. That'll be on the 24th, and this is our Atomic Expo. And again, I would like all of you to be there and to be participants in this day and to share all of this information with your friends and family. That is the way we engage our community. Without your help, everything kind of is flat and unresponsive. On Friday, I want to draw your attention from 4:30 to 7:30. The American Museum of Science and Energy is going to be packed full of booths and partners and displays. All of these innovative nuclear partners are going to be presenting booths at the museum. However, the most unique part is that we have a number of CEOs and professionals and industry leaders that are coming in to give virtual 10-minute presentations. They will be in person. Everything will be recorded and captured and we'll put out on social media. But if you want to talk and spend a few minutes with the CEOs of Type 1 Energy, Kairos Power, LIS Technology, TriSoX, Orano, and all of the Centrus, BWXT, all of these companies are presenting 10-minute exposés on their work at the museum, including Space Force, MIT, Penn State, the University of Tennessee. This is a stellar list. And the goal is at the end of this week, if the community is not educated about what the nuclear renaissance is and the role Oak Ridge has to play in the emphasis of educating the community, then we've missed something very important. So my opportunity is to communicate with all of you and to invite all of you to this week of experiences. All of this is free. There is not a cent that has to be spent to walk in the door to any of these events. Space is limited. So if you would like to go on one of these tours, I would highly suggest you scan that QR code today and get registered. Our dirt tour is almost full, which is very exciting. The other tours are filling up currently. But again, I want to invite you to these conversations and these moments. When I sit in meetings like at eTech and these other organizations, when you listen to the people who are building these opportunities and these corporations and these entities, inside those rooms, everybody has a phenomenal understanding of how important it is. Our goal is now to take the conversation out of that high-level boardroom and corporate meeting and take it to Food City and take it to a community church and take it to community organizations, because $10 billion of investment in this area is going to make an impact. And if we are not prepared collectively as a community, it's going to roll right over us. So I encourage you all to get engaged in the conversation, become participants in this upheaval of opportunity and creative exposure. What's happening in this area is going to surpass what the Manhattan Project did, I think. But it's got to be done through the lens of community engagement. So I can ramble on about this for hours and hours. I apologize. I'm sure I've taken too much time, but those 4 days, especially, I want to invite all of you to be participants in. If you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I think that's what I have to say about Nuclear Science Week.
Very good, Matt. Thank you so much. And if I can change this view to gallery. Any questions that you have for either Matt or Alan, please, now is your time to get any additional information or any clarification that you would like. So ask away. Yes, unmute yourself.
Welcome. I think I'm on.
Yes, you are.
You hear me?
Ask your question.
Okay. I was wondering if
next.
Kairos is going to offer public tours at some point in the future.
Their plan to offer public tours is not established yet. I actually did have a conversation with them on Friday about the tendency for people to wander onto their property currently because they don't have a fence, and it's beginning to be a bit of a concern. At some point, I think they do have an intention on public tours. I feel comfortable dropping this note. I've spoken with Alan about this. We've had early conversations with some of the other organizations in Oak Ridge to do an augmented reality perspective of that site at K25. So you would take your phone and you would zap a QR code and you would be able to look into K25 in a digital capacity. Well, if you look just over the hill, over the creek, that's Kairos. Kairos is interested in us creating a digital tour and digital portal into their site. So you wouldn't actually have to go into their facility. You could catch a glimpse into Kairos from the interpretive center. So
Matt,
that's one thing that we are working on at the
Can
moment.
you see the screen? Can you look at that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is Kairos Power. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I think they're just a little over to the left. That's one of the other staging facilities for what was Energy Solutions. But
All
yeah,
right.
Kairos is right there. Kairos is right there.
Kairos is not in that image, right? But it's
Yeah,
very
just a
close.
scooch to your left.
Okay, I'll shoot that picture again. Now, what he's talking about is when you're up in the interpretive center, up on the second floor, now you're looking out at the footprint. This is the east wing and the west wing, and the north tower is up here. You'll be able to see Kairos Power off to your left. Now, what he's saying is working with Oak Ridge Enhanced Training and Technology group from Y12, we intend to put augmented reality here to the extent that when you look at your iPhone or whatever the arrangement is, if you put on a pair of glasses or you look at your iPhone, whatever, you'll be able to see what the K25 building actually looked like on this footprint, but you'll also be able to scroll over and see the Kairos Power. And from there, Matt, it would be ideal if that's where you see what's going on inside Kairos Power.
That's exactly right.
Reality.
That's exactly right. And the unique thing about this is that you can spin 360 degrees from that center, and there is a possibility that we could then develop a digital viewpoint into Happy Valley. You could see digitally into Orano, LAS Technology, and all of those partners out there collectively. You could have a historic digital experience through augmented reality.
Now, that's what I'm encouraging in every way that I know how to do it, because I believe the technology is here. It's just a matter of getting people to understand that this is an excellent application, not only for our history, but to promote the idea of augmented reality being used in realistic situations around the world. So we are leading in Oak Ridge. We're leading in so many technological areas, and we're not slowing down long enough to show what we're doing, and we need to. Now, I don't mean that we need to slow down. We don't. We need to move faster. Is what I should say. But we do need to demonstrate our capabilities, and this will be one way to get that out there and to get it available. And I don't think we're too far away from it, Matt. I believe you all are working close on getting it ready for.
Yeah, my conversation with the folks at ORICL have been very positive, and very constructive so far. And so once I get through this, my current set of little hurdles, I'm going to lock into that thing and get it knocked out. Because again, you can see from that photo, we've got such a great perspective, and you know, there's a lot of development out there at the moment. So I think we have a way to capitalize on it. But ultimately, again, if you look at it from Manhattan Project forward, you've almost got a 200-year timeline, which is really phenomenal, to kind of take this perspective to completion at the moment.
And using that augmented reality there at the Portal 4 facility as well. And then, incorporating into that, as you say, the other history of the site, we're going to do so much programming there as well as we think about it into the future. It's going to be developed more and more. At some point, we'll rent bikes and that type of thing too. So it's going to become a great overall site where you can bring families, friends, and really experience that history, but also learn about all the stuff happening there now. So yeah, we're very excited about
it. You had a question, Jackie?
No, I was just going to remark on the technical difficulties that we've had repeatedly this morning. So when you go to record this, you may want to edit some of those out because, sometimes it goes on for almost a minute.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, you didn't experience any of that?
No, I did not.
Okay. Maybe it's on my end then.
I don't wish you any bad luck, but I surely hope so.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing we're friends.
Well, yes, it is. It's good. And I will take a look at it to be sure that we don't have any glitches left in.
Yeah.
And I have not seen
All right.
it here, so it's recording
Okay.
what I'm seeing here. So I think we're all right.
Okay. All right.
But I appreciate you mentioning that. We'll check it out. All right. Other questions? Anything else for Matt or Alan?
This is Laura Carrington. I had a question. I followed the QR code and I also went to the AMZ website and I see PDFs for the Nuclear Science Week, but I do not see a way to register for anything.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
very good. Stand by. I can fix that problem. I'll get that updated and we'll get you all set up, Laura.
Okay,
No
thank
problem.
you.
You got it. Sorry about that Jackie, there's my glitch.
The website has a mind of its own. We found it. It's almost like it's artificial intelligence and it's taking over the world. Yeah, we don't know. So thank you, Matt, for taking care of that.
Yeah, in fact, what I will do right now is in the chat, I will drop that link right there. So you can pop over to the chat, hit that link, and it'll take you right to the registration form.
Or
but then I'll get it updated online as well.
And you can go and copy it now.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have it for future reference.
Exactly.
All right. Other questions or comments?
I guess the last words then, Ray, are October 21, 22, 23, and 24. Nuclear Science Week. Be there or be square.
I agree. It's time to put it on your calendar and make sure that you participate in that. It's going to be an excellent opportunity. I'll take this opportunity. If there are other questions, please unmute and ask your questions. Alan talked about the what he and I both call conning tower, but is
Yeah.
a sail. This is what we think it will look like and the location. This is in AK Bissell Park. Just to your left is the Secret City Commemorative Walk. And this is a walkway that goes around this little portion of the creek that runs through from that area. And that gives you an idea of the size. There's a person that we put in there and kind of gives you the idea of the size
Yeah.
of the structure that's going to be located there. Matt, I'm sorry, Matt, not Matt, but Alan.
Yes.
I intended and hoped that you would be ready to talk about another museum opportunity that we have, the Radiation and Radioactivity Museum. Do you have any, are you able to make any comments on that?
Not quite. I'll meet with them October 6th. So
All
after
right.
that, we'll be able to announce that.
Then I will let you off the hook as far as
Okay.
what you're going to do with them. But I want our individuals who are on our class today, I want you to see what the Radiation and Radioactivity Museum looks like that's in the Pollard Auditorium. It's the result of one person, Paul Frame. Paul created this collection, which is the American Nuclear Society's official collection of radioactivity instrumentations and artifacts and items of interest, even to kids' games. But there's a whole display area now that for the first time is available to the public. It has been for years available online, and it's been located out at uh, the South Campus of Oak Ridge Associated Universities, which is over at the corner of Scarborough Road and Bethel Valley Road. But it was behind a limited area, in an area in the building that was a limited area. So if you didn't have a queue clearance, you couldn't get in there, or if you didn't make special arrangements to get in. Well, they've moved it over to the Pollard Auditorium, so it is now more easily accessible, but there's still a problem, as much like the Y12 History Center, they're both behind locked doors. So at the Y12 History Center, you walk up to the door, you punch on an intercom, and you tell them you want to see the History Center, and they'll open the door and let you come in. I remind you not to take any pictures outside the New Hope Center. You're on camera and they're on video, and they'll come get your camera. But if you go inside, you can take all the pictures you want in the museum. Now, in this particular case, the Radiation and Radioactivity Museum, yes, the door's locked and the lights are off. So to get in, you have to make contact with the Oak Ridge Associated Universities, and you have to get them to turn the lights on and open the door for you. Now, they're kind enough to do that for me on any time I ask. I took a group of senior citizens on the lifelong learning program from the David Lipscomb University. I actually, Alan and Matt, I had them to stay for overnight in Oak Ridge. Think about that. I'm proud that I got someone from Nashville to spend the night in Oak Ridge. Yeah, Matt.
Ray, I was going to also say that one of the things, one of my last hurdles for Nuclear Science Week is we're trying to set up a multiple museum pass.
Yeah.
So you could buy a pass and then you could get into every museum in Oak Ridge for free for the week. Well, minus the one purchase price. So the Frame Museum would be part of that. AMZ, the Oak Ridge History Center, and then the Children's Museum is offering $1 off admission during Nuclear Science Week. But hopefully, if we can get all of our little ducks in a row, this museum will be open to the public during Nuclear Science Week for specific hours.
And I will also say what Ray was referring to at the beginning. We're working with ORIU now to see how we can be part of helping make it more accessible
Mhm.
in the future. So we're excited about that possibility. Now, I will say, when I first got here, now 6 years ago, Ray, it's hard to believe I've been here that long, that Ray took me out to the South Campus and we looked at this collection when it was still behind those very locked doors, and I was so loving it. And at the end, I said, how can we show this and borrow it? And they said, you can't at that point. So I'm so glad now that it's accessible in this way, and that hopefully soon we'll be helping make it even more accessible.
Yes, I think that's one of the most interesting exhibits that we have on radiation and radioactivity. It really helps you to understand and to appreciate all of the evolving technology over the years that has taken place. And I don't have a picture of it here, but but the first thing you see, well, maybe I do. Let me see. Yeah, the first thing you see when you walk in the museum is this little wooden box back here. Does anyone on the class now know what that wooden box is? I know you can't see it very well. I've got better pictures of it. But if you've ever stuck your feet in one of those, you know what it is. It's to take a picture of your foot. They claimed back then that if you did that, you could get shoes that fit. I believe it's better to just try the shoe on.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, that museum is available and going to be more available in the future if everything falls into place like we think it will. But I was proud to have those people from David Lipscomb University here and to get them to go through our museums and and spend the night in Oak Ridge. One more thought I'll share with you. Alan talked about the railroad exhibit that he hopes to have out near Portal 4. This is one of the cars that will be a part of that exhibit. It's a railroad car that was used to transport a miniature submarine that was done for the Navy, then went out into Idaho, and they used it for testing purposes. But the miniature submarine was built at the K-25 facility, and this railroad car that transported it out to Idaho is still available there. And I think we can get it moved over to the location that Alan's talking about. All right. Any other questions you all have? Let me stop this share. Bring you back. Any comments or questions for Matt or for Alan? Or anything?
I have a question for
Please,
Matt.
Robert. Yeah.
Those brief summaries of all of the activities during Nuclear Science Week, will they be published in the local newspaper, or is there some way we can get hard copy of that? Is it available on the website of AMSI?
Yes, on the website there is a banner, and you click on that, and it'll take you directly to the web page for Nuclear Science Week. And then there are days broken down later on the list, and each one of those days you can click on it and see the full calendar of events for that day. And then I will make sure and get that updated so that that link is working, and you can go through and do registration as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Excellent. Any other questions? All right, Matt and Alan, thank you very much for
Thank you.
being with
Appreciate
us today. We really appreciate the update. And let me ask this question of the group, I think. What ideas do you have? What would you like to see us focus on for the next series? Now, next week, we've got Todd Ryder coming back to talk more about the German nuclear program. There was a question last week about what was Germany doing to be able to deliver any atomic bombs that they were close to developing. and he's going to show you the kind of capabilities that the Nazis were actually developing at the end of the war. And I think you'll be amazed by what he has to share with you that he's learned in his research. I'm finding the idea that Germany had an advancement on the nuclear weapons program while it was used in the Manhattan Project here. It was used as a way to encourage us to move and get more involved and get to it first. I mean, even the letter from Albert Einstein talked about the fact that, or signed by Albert Einstein, Leo Szilard wrote it. But that letter talked about Germany buying uranium ore. And of course, last week you saw that Todd has found the sources of that uranium ore, and he's found many places where it was being used in Germany during World War II. And that is not well known in history. It was in fact, I believe it was intentionally not released during the Manhattan Project because they didn't really want people to know how close they were to getting the bomb, yet they used it to encourage us to move ahead faster to develop the atomic bomb. So it's a two-edged sword that they were playing with at that time. But now things have been declassified that were kept secret for many years, and he's digging into that information and upturning things that I never would have thought was actually taking place, and he's finding evidence of it. So next week, we'll be talking about how they would have transported that atomic bomb if they could have completed it in time. They were working toward it. Any other questions? Now, any other ideas you have, please let me know either now or by email or text. And I will put this up on YouTube and send an email out letting you know where it is. All right. Anything else from anyone? We've got just a minute or two more. Again, Matt and Alan, thank you very much for spending time with us this morning and sharing some really good ideas of what's going on in Oak Ridge. And I'm looking forward to Nuclear Science Week, Matt. I think you've done a great job putting it in place. And you mentioned a time or two about the arranging all of this to happen during that week. And I know you've had help, but you've been the one in the lead to make all of this happen for us. And I want you to know I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Again, the whole goal is that the community finds some opportunities for enrichment. At the end of the day, the community needs to understand what's going on around them and be participants rather than observers. So the week is designed to find ways to participate and engage.
You have to realize Oak Ridge truly is unique. The things that are drawing people, like I got to spend a good bit of time with the people coming here from OKLO. I'm not sure how you say
Oklo.
Oklo, I guess.
Oklo.
I was asked to meet with them for essentially a private luncheon. We had Gordon Fee and myself there. Charlie Hensley was there. And we had the chief executive officer and his immediate staff. We met at Roane State for a lunch, a box lunch. Now I was amazed at the kind of interest that I saw there. I mean, he's even talking about wanting to make a movie about the fact that we are going to be reusing spent nuclear fuel. And I asked him, I said, in your talk out at the Interpretive Center, Wilcox Interpretive Center, you mentioned that there was a lot of energy still left in spent nuclear fuel. And he said, yes, that's exactly what we're going to do is we're going to extract that energy and make it available for modern nuclear reactors. And I said, now you made a comment that in just the US, the spent nuclear fuel has enough energy left in it that would equal the amount of energy in 1.3 trillion barrels of oil. And he said, yeah, that's what I said. That's an amazing statistic when you think about it. And that's what's going to happen in Oak Ridge. They're building a processing plant to take the spent nuclear fuel and release that energy that's still in there. Amazing things happening in Oak Ridge. Thank you.
Great. And,
Again, thank you, Matt. Thank you, Alan.
You.
And we'll see the rest of you next Monday morning.
Okay.
thank you.